Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today I've got something for you that's very far out of the traditional stuff that I usually happen to show off on the channel. You may know if you've been with the channel for a while that I occasionally like to do something like a digital toy of sorts or like a creative art piece. This in particular is Alienheartbeats by developer and artist Lucius. As an artist, a pixel artist specifically that I've been a fan of for a little while, and he happened to have released this digital toy slash creation that I've never really quite seen anything exactly like it. The only function that it has is that it will procedurally generate alien hearts and alien creations of sort. I'm not exactly sure what they all are, but they are interesting to look at, and you don't have, unfortunately, a ton of ability to interact with them, but you can open and move them around by hitting left and right on the arrow keys. So you'll see this is Behuai IP 3, and there's a lot of little nuance to the bits that make up this piece. You see these little squiggly details we've got in the symmetrically oriented top right corner. We've got some boxes, we've got various shaders, we've got pixelated particles moving around, and even a lens flare kind of thing, and then this orb chasing another orb, and a whole bunch of transparency effects. So if I hit R, I can actually regenerate and create an entirely new situation. And this one looks like we've got a whole purple-blue theme going on. Look at that. Very strange. And I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about this other than I just found it rather inspirational and cool, and I've never really seen anything like this approached before. And I do want to make sure I keep the door open to finding any kind of things like this that I just find personally really interesting, whether or not they're perceived as games is kind of incidental to me. And I know I've expressed this a few times. I usually get somebody that's always a little upset about it. Granted, I do still focus on games, but I don't want to exclude things like this that happen to show up, because many of them are very cool, and I don't know of very many other outlets where maybe people would get a chance to see or talk about them. So in that case, you know, I figure let's show off some alien hearts. Why not? So the other option that we have, of course, other than R to regenerate, is we can also press S to save a PNG. So if you find one that you're particularly fond of, you can actually turn it into a picture and post it on Twitter, I suppose. I mean, I'm not sure too many other places you could really use it, but if you're feeling inspired, I guess this could be like a branching off point for creating art or something like that, which could always be a fantastic idea. I would love to see it if you could actually create seated ones, and I kind of thought by the fact that there was a toolbar at the top that maybe you could create your own, and that each of these letters was actually just helping generate one of these, but as it turns out, I don't think you can actually edit them, unfortunately. Maybe there's a way you can edit a configuration file somewhere that, you know, you can actually end up with that sort of a process, but not that I was able to find. Imagine the aliens that would go along with these alien hearts. They're certainly quite exotic, and that's something that I would love to see, actually, is creating an alien body out of these parts that are just quite as obtuse and esoteric looking as this. Because honestly, the animations are pretty cool. I mean, they're very subtle, there's not a ton of them, and they kind of operate well in a modular fashion, but I'd love to see it if this could be integrated into some sort of a body. I guess I'm sort of thinking like a way more surreal spore or something like that, and just let it keep creating things and just let it go off on tangents. And then, of course, you could get into some kind of crazy spore-style alien breeding sim or who knows what else. But maybe there could be a door open for that as well. Oh, I really like the color palette to this one. It's sort of like an alien Rorschach test, isn't it? I guess you could kind of look into this and see what kind of ideas you could pull out yourself. Seem to be getting a lot of green and red ones, specifically. I was kind of hoping maybe there's more diversity or something, but that's okay. This one looks a little bit like lungs with some sort of a gauntlet down at the bottom. It looks like a hand or something happening there. Oh, this one. Okay, this is the first time I've seen one that's got this diffused effect on it. Kind of neat. Ooh, I really like the way that this is all kind of a delicate texture happening on the main body of what I'm going to call the mass that forms the alien heart. I mean, I tend to see these more as lungs now, I guess, than hearts, but I mean, who comes up with an idea like that? Let's look inside the chest cavity of an alien being and make a game that generates, or an experimental digital toy that generates infinite possibilities for what could be in there. Takes a bit of creativity, and yes, you can actually mirror this down to nothing if you want, although there doesn't seem to be any bonus to doing so. In case you were interested, you can download this as a pay what you want if you'd like to send the creator a bit of a tip. That's definitely recommended, but you can also download it for free if you'd like to just experiment and play around with this and see what kind of combinations you can come up with. So, you know, very cool little thing. I can't say there's a ton of practical application for it in its own right, but I still really am quite inspired by it, and I'd love to see something that could use this sort of technology and branch off from here. And I think this is the type of thing that I cover a lot, you know, things that are of high potential that maybe aren't entirely realized, you know, in and of themselves just yet. But still, you know, there's intrinsic value to just about everything if you look at the right angle of it, and this is definitely quite pretty and very experimental and strange, and that's definitely in my wheelhouse. So with that, I guess I will leave you for another day. That was Alienheartbeats. Like I said, link's going to be in the description if you want to go try this out yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments. Certainly an unorthodox episode of Indie Impressions, so feel free to weigh in on that if you found it particularly interesting or it offended you for any reason. Hopefully it didn't, because we will be back to normal game coverage tomorrow. It's just a little side trip that I like to make every now and then. So I will talk to you all then. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like on it, and I will see you later. Have a fantastic night, everybody.